Hey, welcome to another Fearless. I think we weren't around last week, so it's good to be back. And I'm really excited to have some pretty amazing guests on the show. They're in Boulder, which doesn't surprise me because there's a lot of amazing people in Boulder. But it does continue to surprise me how many amazing people there are in Boulder. And I want to introduce a couple guys from the Unreasonable Institute. Daniel Epstein, correct? Did I say that right? Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us.
And Tyler Hartung.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Not spelled exactly like it sounds, but and these guys, you could tell they're young guys. Really young to have your own company already.
Pretty young, yeah.
And doing stuff that's worth talking about already. Pretty amazing. And what Unreasonable Institute? Well, first of all, I should remind people. You're going to have questions about this because it's a pretty radical new concept, and you can tweet those questions in. So tweet them to @FearlessForce, and Art will put them up on the screen over here, and I'll read them off. So the Unreasonable Institute is an incubator, I guess. Is that a fair word? You're going to have better words, yeah, I'm sure. That takes high impact, high growth concepts, businesses, that wouldn't normally maybe be incubated because they might not be in the space of tech, which is where a lot of incubation is. But it's almost modeled after that tech thing, right?
Absolutely.
And Techstars, which is in town here, is a good example of that. And what you guys do are you bring people into the fold and you spend how long with them?
That was 10 weeks last summer, 8 weeks this summer.
And they get mentored and they get exposed to each other and a lot of ideas that they wouldn't have normally been exposed to. That's cool. Let's come back to it though, because it's a pretty big idea. I had never, when I ran into it, people just kept sending it to me. Just so you know, people were like, "You're gonna love these guys."
Nice, that's good. Yeah.
No, it is good. It's a neat thing, and I'm like, screw these guys. And
that was your first thought?
Well, the first
3 or 4 or 5 thoughts.
Yeah. I don't have time for this. I'm a busy man. No, the first time you get it, you're somewhat intrigued, but you may not even really go check it out. But you know, third and fourth time, people just kept bringing it up, and I started looking into it. And I didn't reach out to you guys, but I started keeping an ear to the ground. But what happened with you? You were in college, and you I don't think said, "Hey, I want to start the Unreasonable Institute." How'd you fall into this?
I think.
What's your story?
The story is long. It goes back to middle school. We won't go that far, though.
Does it really, though?
It does. But most recently, I like to say that we are our own customers. In undergrad here at the University of Colorado, I had worked on 4 different startups. And every company that I had started, I challenged myself, the teams, shareholders, donors, whatever it was. Could we create an organization where every constituency that was affected by that organization was better off? Every single party, right? Of course, the customers, shareholders, employees, owners, but...
And some people call that triple bottom line. Other people call it integrated bottom line. Conscious capitalism.
Yep,
I'm
exactly.
running out of names.
No, there's a million of them. And at that point in time, it was all just based on kind of a philosophical premise that if you created an organization where every constituency was better off, it seemed like you wouldn't just be sustainable, you'd be thrivable. That would really take you to scale.
Everybody would try to lift you.
Absolutely, because everybody was better off because of you.
Right.
Then at the same time, I was really spoiled. I got to travel a lot. And I was part of a program. It's got an awful lofty name. It's called the Global Institute for Leadership and Civic Development.
You must have good grades.
I have no idea how I got into that. Not trying to be humble, to be truthful. I shouldn't have been there. I kind of hoodwinked my way in with a pretty fun essay. But they brought 40 young leaders, those they thought were the future leaders of the world, from 25 countries. We met up in Prague for 5 weeks. And we all lived together. My roommate was from Azerbaijan, the son of an oil sultan. We had a child soldier there. I mean, it was incredibly diverse. the goal was to create global citizens, right? To look at issues and to really have this international empathetic response to these issues. But walked out of that, and they're really good at that, but I was frustrated because there was so much potential energy within that group of 40 young people, 25 countries, but it was never tapped into. It was always theoretical, it was issues focused. So came back and said, hey, can we create an institute where we bring these young people from all around the world together to look at these issues with the international context, and then how can we create solutions that match the magnitude of these issues and these opportunities? And it seemed to us that that was business or entrepreneurship. So that's kind of the broad.
One of the themes that you see running through a lot of stuff now is the idea that business fixes things, right? I don't want to bring up the Tea Party, but it runs through people who are very progressive, and it runs through the Tea Party. Very different applications, I think, but. There is this sense and this theme that that charity kind of works and then it stops. That there's a limit to what we're able to do with it, and a lot of people who have donated enormous amounts of money are the people that are saying charity ain't it, that it's something else. And then there's this other theoretical conversation which you've been in and you see a lot about and you read a lot about. And then there's this void of practical practice. And that's, I think, one of the things that I was interested with you guys was, okay, I have seen the theory. Here's something that's actually taking steps to making companies, right? So, between the theory and the company actually getting created, what's going wrong there? Are we okay technically? There's lots of... Do we have a... No, we're good? Okay. That's fine. People were just whispering. I was worried.
Distracted.
It's a live show. Shit goes wrong and people won't tell me. Like, I might just be doing the show for no one right now. We're not on the air. Should we tell them we're not on? Okay, so we're still good. So that, bringing it down and making it practical is pretty amazing. And I think I think hopefully you guys are part of a wave of that. Are you seeing more of that too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
are you the only game in town?
Absolutely not. No. I mean, we're seeing it all across the world. It's really, really large in the United Kingdom as well as in India. And what's happening here is that especially with the younger generation coming out of college, people are taking less traditional paths to a job that's going to pay them for 40 years, and they stay there and move up in that company. And they're excited about with a more interconnected world where they're seeing and they feel much closer to the problems around the world and to the people around the world. They feel much more of a responsibility to go and be active in that, and they're finding new ways to not just like traditionally was done. They go and volunteer or give charity to these organizations. They can actually build a business around it and find the resources to help them build a business around it.
So. It's a huge cultural shift.
Yeah,
massive. In my lifetime, I've never seen anything like it. Maybe the 60s or the 70s, I was too young to realize that there was... But the tools just didn't exist. In that notion of cooperation, I say sometimes cooperation is the new competition, right? And I think it really is. Like, and Boulder's a great space where you see it. You've gotten help from a lot of folks in Boulder, but you've plugged into Kickstarter, and maybe we should talk a little bit about how this works. Like, specifically, what is the program?
If I were to hit you with one sentence of jargon, just got back from a conference and they love jargon. We came up with this, that we're an international accelerator and early stage investor in high impact entrepreneurs.
That's good.
Write that down.
Don't write that down.
It's not on the website yet.
Don't write that down. It's awful. But what we do, the best way to say what we do is what we just did. This past summer, we brought together 22 entrepreneurs working on ventures in 15 countries. Very, very global, hailing from 6 continents. We brought them all here to Boulder, Colorado for 10 weeks with one simple goal, is to give them every resource, connection, access to capital they need to accelerate these ventures that we really believe future generations will remember as having defined progress. The types of companies they're working on are focused primarily, first and foremost, on a social or environmental issue. And then their business model accelerates their ability to have that impact.
And you have some, or it seems like I've read, you've got some very specific asks from a concept. Like if someone comes to you, they need to be able to suggest powerfully that they would reach this kind of scale, these people, this sort of, and talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, so we kind of arbitrarily say that we have the goal that they reach 1 million people, but it's really not arbitrary. It's just we want people to be thinking a large scale.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for ventures that are going to tackle problems not just in a localized community or even in a country, that they can take their business model or their idea of solving these problems and take it to different countries and scale it to wherever that problem, as far, in any corner of the world, wherever that problem exists. And so one of the things we really focus on when they're trying to reach that scale is that they're actually financially self-sustainable. Whether they're a for-profit or a non-profit, we mean that they're actually generating some sort of revenue by selling a product or service.
Before they come to you, you want them to be self-sufficient?
No. That's the goal of them coming out. So that if their long-term plan is to take donations from people and then go do something with it, it's just not scalable. If they want to double the size of their impact, they probably have to double the size of the donation that they receive. And so definitely not before. We do look for companies that have at least a prototype or have run a pilot. And we'll give strong preference to those who have at least some sort of revenue, really just so that they're interacting with their customer. They know, hey, someone's actually interested in this. Someone is willing to purchase it. Of course, we're not perfect yet, but there's some market buy-in.
Yeah.
And it's all based off of belief. Very simple. Brad Feld says this, but definition of entrepreneurs, they do stuff. And so we look for at least $1 of revenue and just interaction with their market before they come.
And people might not know who Brad Feld is. Do you want to? Because he's been an inspiration and also important to it, right?
Yeah, hugely. Brad Feld is a local investor in Boulder, a pretty incredible venture capitalist who's really, really respected in the community, I think largely because he's so transparent about how he invests, why he invests, and because of how he treats people. And he helped co-found Techstars, which for us is a big model for inspiration in terms of how do you effectively work with early stage entrepreneurs and kickstart them to the next phase of their life cycle.
Was that the genesis for this?
Co-genesis. In 2008, when I was a junior in undergrad, completely clueless to what was going on, worked with a good friend. We had brought 17 young leaders, entrepreneurs here for 5 weeks. They came from 14 countries all around the world. No idea what we were doing, but knew we wanted to look at issues and solutions. Walked out of that institute with a bunch of ideas, and then saw Techstars and said, holy hell, these guys, they're doing it, and they're doing it really, really well. So let's take the lessons we learned, because our customer's different. We require teams, but we only bring out the founder and CEO. We source them from all around the world. They're not tech companies, like you said. They're working usually on the ground in their markets. And so there were some differences, but yeah, we took a lot from Techstars' model and really listened to their advice.
And if you're watching this, it's probably worth going to Techstars at some point. Is that techstars.com? .org. And see what they're doing there. They've got a kind of a TV series or something too, right?
Yep.
Now your whole thing seems like it's a reality show. Like, why isn't it a reality show already? If you're
go to unreasonable.tv. We did
It is a reality.
It's not a. We say we're anti-reality because we want to document it, right? Usually, reality TV isn't.
Well, you're unreasonable. That makes you anti-reality as well. Right?
I mean, no. This was like the actual definition of reality TV. There was no placing of stories and situations or excess amounts of booze like we see on actual reality TV shows, right? But yeah, there's a 10-part documentary.
It's
on the site.
On the website.
And it really showcases just life at the institute, the challenges, the swings back and forth with the entrepreneurs over the course of the 10 weeks.
And that's at unreasonableinstitute.org?
That or just unreasonable.tv.
Okay.
Either.
Yeah. And where did the name Unreasonable come from?
Oh man, so Dan, you could try. Dan always messes up the quote.
Yeah, let's try.
You guys seem somewhat reasonable.
Oh, that's such an insult, man.
But I'm wondering how far you take it. Like, are you always unreasonable, or do you find times where you have to pull it back?
In my personal life, I try and remain reasonable. I think every once in a while. But anyway, the quote. So the quote. It comes from an old playwright, which I'm pretty sure everyone in the room is familiar with, George Bernard Shaw. He was
heard of him.
Yeah, no one ever heard.
Yeah.
But he was a playwright, and he said that the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends upon the unreasonable man and woman. And that just really defines kind of what we're looking for, is people that are looking to take the future into their own hands and actually create what they want to see.
Yeah. It's an awesome name.
Thank you.
I'll take zero credit for it.
I mean, the funny thing about the name for me is every time I hear it, I'm like, that is an awesome name. But then I can't remember it.
Yeah.
And
no.
Well, it's because it's that and reasonable are not the two things I put together. So
Totally.
I'm like, unbelievable no, it's not that.
That's awful.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad institutes names that start with un, but anyway, unreasonable is great. And I've started to be able to remember it. And it's worth remembering because it's pretty amazing. So you guys, you subscribe to that idea that, hey, the world, I don't really fit in the world, so I'm going to have to change the world to fit with me. Which is another way to put it. It's a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
Aggressive and unreasonable could be.
Absolutely. We say we select for impatience and unreasonableness in our entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, entrepreneurs who don't believe that the current solutions to these issues we face internationally are viable or are effective enough, and are trying to trailblaze ways that we've never even heard of, that we're just beginning to explore, but that we're seeing are really, really effective.
I like impatience too.
Absolutely.
Patience is really
it's boring.
It's awful. It's awful. I've met patient people, and there's another institute, the Impatient Institute. You can just keep going. That could be one of the ways to branch out. And I guess that's a natural question: is where do you branch out? Where does it go next?
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe I go half. You go half.
Sure, go for it.
But there's two modes in which we're thinking of scaling right now. One is a more narrow-sighted one, but it was the only way we initially thought we could scale, which is we run these institutes. Mm-hmm. Let's run more institutes in more places, right? And maybe we focus them on specific technologies. If we believe cell phone technology is the next internet, to run an institute focused utilizing cell phones, but on all these different issues.
I don't like that.
Don't like that? Good.
I don't know. We've talked about this before, like how you do grow and whether it's vertical. Because with going more vertical, you could put in mentoring that was a bit more specific.
Yeah.
But I personally think what people lack now is not expertise, because expertise suggests the future is going to be similar to the past, right? That's the only way expertise is valuable. What people lack is this cross-pollination that I think is part of, maybe, I haven't sat through the Institute, but I imagine it's really powerful for somebody who is in a solution that has to do with mobile phones to sit next to somebody who's trying to figure out how to distribute wells across India.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the biggest value adds we saw this summer was we were intentionally unintentional about how we selected our entrepreneurs, all walks of life. So there is the potential, though, for scaling out the Institute, going to multiple places. Whether we focus or not, we really believe there could be a couple hundred of these institutes. It wouldn't be enough.
Oh, yeah.
And I think really, one thing we always value is going forward is trying a bunch of things and seeing what sticks. And so if we can run 2 or 3 or 4 institutes, let's try one that's specifically focused.
Yeah, see how it works.
Let's try ones that are maybe shorter for later stage ventures. All those different things.
Where are people coming from?
Oh, man. So last year we had 284 applicants apply from 45 countries.
Was that the first year or second year?
That was the first year.
The first year.
Yeah, from 45 countries and every continent. We missed Antarctica. But they're from everywhere. We had former child soldiers from Liberia who were working to rehabilitate other former child soldiers. We had MIT graduates working in Pakistan on installation of housing in shantytown roofs. We had scientists and engineers from both Venezuela and Brazil working on various different devices, DNA diagnostics, or devices for the poor, and we had a lot of people from the United States as well, both working within the confines of the United States as well as abroad.
All of those that you mentioned are people that got in, or are those some of the things?
Those are all people that
got in.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got to be heartbreaking a little bit for you guys. You've got 200 and some odd, great ideas.
Yeah.
Well, let's say that there's only 100 great ideas.
Yeah.
Let's say there's probably a lot of great ideas, though, right? Yeah. And a lot of passionate people. And there's how many spots?
25.
25.
Yeah.
So and this year it's going to be, I would imagine, even worse.
Yeah.
You'll have 1,000 applications. I don't know.
Yep, and they'll probably be higher quality. Yep.
And they'll be higher quality, and you'll still have to cull it down.
Yep.
And to some degree, it's arbitrary, right? Because there's no way to know. It's like the guy that came up with FedEx. He didn't get an A on his paper.
Yep.
But he
totally
made a really nice company out of the idea. So
totally.
How do you balance the knowledge that your judgment can't be 100% on these things?
Yep. So we don't do the final selection process.
Oh.
We kind of outsource that really to the world. So if we have, say, 1,000 applications,
because it's cheaper. Why did you outsource it?
Because
we're not trying to externalize costs.
We don't actually outsource it.
There's a call center that does the work for us.
The wrong word.
Yeah.
So let's say we have maybe 1,000 applications. Break that down to 100 interviews. We do really quick interviews. Then we'll select 50 finalists. We put those finalists up on a website we built, similar to Kickstarter.com.
Okay.
The finalist marketplace, and we challenge them. We really want the final vetting process to test their entrepreneurial mettle. And so we say the first 25 out of the 50 finalists to raise the cost of attending the institute, which is $10,000. They'll get in as entrepreneurs, instantly.
Oh, so that's the first test of whether you are an entrepreneur, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
And there's a huge issue with that, massive challenge, which we call the rich uncle problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could be, are you a good entrepreneur, or do you just know some people
who got a little bit of money?
Yeah, it turns out they're all coming out of the Northeast.
Exactly.
Well, that's what. So last year, literally, former child soldier in Liberia competing against 4-time serial entrepreneur in Boston, right?
Yeah.
Raised $10,000 online. That's crazy.
Right.
The issue is this person in Boston can call up their theoretical rich uncle and say, hey, can you put $10,000?
Or just a bunch of friends.
Or just a bunch of friends, and just do it right away.
Yeah.
And that's not equitable, and it's not really a testament of your ability.
And Kickstarter does work that way often, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from friends who have used it, they're like, you wind up harassing all your friends, like, hey, have you given yet?
Yeah, it's just a platform for them to.
But and it works, and Kickstarter is amazing. I love the idea, but that is sort of a wrinkle in it. So how do you manage?
So there's a couple of things. The first thing we did is we put in a new challenge. We said in the first week, the most any one person could give to an entrepreneur was $10. In the second week, it was $50, and it went up incrementally. But that meant you had to raise funds from hundreds of people to get into the institute. Still a little bit of a
It never went up. It never went up to 10,000. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And then the last week, it's 10,000.
Oh, you mean maximum amount?
It does open up to the max.
No, it did actually.
It did?
In the end.
Really?
In the end. But ultimately, we had just shy of 3,000 people from 130 countries vote with their dollars to select the 22 entrepreneurs who came last year, which was amazing because the amount of ownership, accountability, excitement that the entrepreneurs then came in with, and they had hundreds of people supporting them, was a huge asset. But the other way we mitigate this issue is a couple-fold. We source our entrepreneurs from partners all around the world. So we have about 80 pipeline partners, really incredible organizations from TED and MIT to a plethora of smaller organizations all around the world. They send us their entrepreneurs, and we ask in return that if one of their entrepreneurs makes it to the finalist marketplace, that they help support them, right? So if you had this entrepreneur in, say, Nigeria, what he needed to do is his online network wasn't big, but there are organizations who support people creating change in Nigeria, so he'd reach out to them and then they'd market on his behalf. And it really worked incredibly well. And then the last thing we did was a big experiment. We did put in $25,000 into the marketplace. Every finalist had a couple $100, about $700. And we said, this is a scholarship, you guys select who it should go to. The incredible thing was not one entrepreneur gave it to themselves. They all gave it to each other, and that just gave a little kickstart to all of the finalists who were really struggling to get that support.
I'd say, Dan, that there still was a struggle for those entrepreneurs from developing nations where internet access and credit cards are not the norm to their network of people that they're reaching out to, and so that's where like the rest of the world, it has to come in and support.
But number two, the number one U.S. based applicants. Number two, though, was India. Talk about that a little bit, and I'm going to go to a Twitter question while you explain that.
Sure. So the amount of social innovation taking place in a country with 1 billion people with a lot of problems and very good foresight into this is just exceptional. India is just really leading the charge, and they do a good job, one, of supporting entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs, but also in getting the word out there. We just have a lot of partnering organizations that are really, really connected with entrepreneurs there and encourage them to apply.
Someone tweeted in, do you think having people compete for venture capital is good or bad?
Ooh. So you had to frame kind of the context of that. What we did with our entrepreneurs, because they did compete, they actually invested in each other. At the Institute. 3 entrepreneurs were selected amongst their peers to get $75,000 of seed funding. We really had to set a tone that they're not competing against each other, they're competing against failure collectively. And when we set that tone, and they all realized as a group that there's enough money out there for all of them, and they needed to work to help each other up, they really did. But it really came down to setting that precedent and being very clear this is not a competition.
And that makes it less of reality TV, I guess. In reality TV, it's sort of like only one of you will win. Yeah. But so the idea was, hey, there's capital here, and somebody's going to get it, but you all can succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the bolder way. It's not like that everywhere,
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Vancouver, up in BC.
Nice
lived there for 3 days. So it was a quick stint in Canada.
He makes our team international.
I'm the, I guess, exotic one, not Teju. I was born there. I lived in a tiny town in Washington State, then Chicago for a couple years.
And what happened in junior high that's connected to this?
Yeah,
I kind of want to know.
So my parents, they challenged me. When I was going into middle school, they said that you had to pay for half of everything. So food, school supplies, a candy bar, sports equipment, everything. They were joking, right? But I took it very seriously.
That's a little early.
That's a little mean. And so when you're 11, you can't get hired by anybody to legal.
Not in this country. Some countries you could have gone to work.
Yeah, could have worked real hard. And so I had a choice: be a paper boy or mow lawns. And I just discovered mowing lawns. My dad, we used to have we grew up, it was very rural. We had a 3-acre lawn, so it'd take me about 4 hours to mow it. He'd give me $1. So I never knew that you can make money from mowing lawns and landscaping.
Mow their lawn.
Then I cut the grass of one of my friends' houses, and they gave me $15, and I was like, "What the hell?"
I've been getting ripped off.
And that was actually the first company I started. We had 22 employees in a year and a half.
Really?
We ended up selling it. We had 130 lawns.
When you were 12, or
I sold it when I was 12. Yeah.
What'd you get for the company when you sold it?
It was a decent amount.
Like thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Nice.
Enough to pay my way through college and to fund another startup.
Nice.
It was an incredible experience. But for me, the takeaway was how I looked at it was everybody seemed happier. And I never thought about creating value, but I love mowing lawns.
Yeah.
22 people who are working on it were all 6th graders, all my buddies.
Right.
They're getting $10, $15 an hour to do this.
They're like, this is amazing.
They're thinking it's killer. And everybody's lawn who were cutting, they have the biggest smiles on
their
faces.
So you employed child labor, but you were a child, so it was okay.
I was my own customer. You were with the Institute.
Can my son go to the Unreasonable Institute? He's 14, and he's like nowhere near this entrepreneurial. I think
that's awesome.
So with India, is that a place where it would make sense to kind of move this thing?
Absolutely. Potentially. Absolutely. It's all about the quality of the mentors that you're going to find there, as well as the entrepreneurs who speak whatever language in the place that you go to.
So that's an interesting point. I actually want to just talk about really quickly, your favorite story from this year, and your favorite story from this year.
As far as the entrepreneurs themselves?
Yeah, as far as what happened.
Sure.
Either somebody getting in or what they did, whatever flashes.
Sure. I think my favorite story would come from the Nigerian radio show host who he is his own customer, like Dan talks about. He's a Nigerian smallholder farmer, and he created and produced a radio show that is already profitable. It's been profitable for years. What it does is it promotes what to produce for Nigerian farmers, how to produce, when to produce, and for whom to produce.
So it's a radio. It's like car talk for Nigerian
Exactly.
farmers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Super non-political in a country that everything is corrupt and political. Mm-hmm. So the success was getting him here to the Institute and having him interact with all these different fellows. And what he's already doing is he's reaching 250,000 farmers. But what he's looking to do, and this is where actually the failure of it comes in, is he's just trying to simply raise money to, one, build a bigger tower, a bigger radio tower, and two, get a bit more powerful transistor. If he does that one simple thing, raises money for just that, he can reach 20 million small farm holders in southern Nigeria. Yeah. And so having him come to the Institute and his whole business model and what he's trying to accomplish was really exciting, I think, to have.
Yeah. Awesome story. It's simple. It's a simple
it's super tangible.
Right?
It's easy. Yeah. It's easy to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
And he's already making money.
Yeah.
But he's.
So when he was at the Institute, did he realize this is the issue? I just need this and this, or did he come knowing that? And has his what's been the benefit for him?
So the benefit is really just the exposure to organizations. But what he's still having trouble with is getting over the problem of people's perceptions of Nigeria as a place. Just so much corruption. Whenever people think of investing there, they immediately turn away. Whereas he's built the company based on,
How much money does he need for the tower?
Was it $370,000? Yeah.
Yeah, and, it's pretty incredible. Just to piggyback on that, his name's Nemeka Ikegwano, and in Nigeria, there's 90 million people in the country. 70 million are smallholder rural farmers, and his impact, what he does. Interesting, very simple idea, but why it's so amazing is the impact. For his listeners, the average listener who listens to a show for 4 months, their household income increases 150%. And that's just because they have access to information. This is a region, the only technology everybody has, transistor radio, cell phones haven't penetrated, televisions aren't there. And so it's overwhelming how much you can do by providing relevant information.
To almost the entire population.
And for free. I mean, most of these people already have radios or their neighbors have radios. And so they just...
And his business is like any radio thing, it's subsidized by advertising, I guess.
Absolutely.
There's that...
Well, you want to, 20 million listeners, if you're looking to push a new seed or a new, shovel or whatever what they want to advertise to, it's simple and inexpensive.
Monsanto might love it.
There you go.
They might, but his advertisers, his advertisers, he's very, very selective. They're all social enterprises in and of themselves, so working with poverty reduction in that area.
And what's your favorite, or did he steal you?
No. I mean, Nemeka's awesome. So that's one of my favorite people. Certainly, I think favorite stories. Let's see here.
We have tons of time. It's not like we're on TV or anything.
Good. Yeah. Best, as an individual, Ben Lyon, really, really incredible entrepreneur. He started a company called Frontline SMS Credit, which is focused in East Africa, using SMS texting on mobile phones to do banking. So people without bank accounts could now transfer money, take loans, and so on. Really, really brilliant. He came to the Institute. That was a nonprofit organization, really well known. He came to the Institute. He dropped out of that actually and realized that he believed he could reach much larger markets if he could make it into a for-profit business. He created KopoKopo mobile financing. He acquired $75,000 during the Institute. He's raised just under another $100,000. He still has about $100 to go. But created the company, created the team, moved out to Seattle. He's working on it full time now. They've raised the funds, and they're just doing incredible things. So one of the favorite things.
That's really interesting. Yeah. One, it's a great story. The other thing that's interesting though is just he came there and he decided, I don't want to do the nonprofit thing.
Yeah.
That I won't be able to reach enough people. What did that turn on? Do you know? Do you know where his insight was?
It turned on scale, and it kind of always turns on scale, right? As soon as everybody who came to the Institute was working on issues that transcended borders. And that went far beyond just the country they were focused on. And as we investigated it more and more and more, just a realization that the solution, if it's market-based, it can scale to meet that need. And if it's not, it's so capital intensive, if it thrives on donations, that it just can't scale and replicate easy enough.
Right. Well, that's what a lot of for-profit folks think.
Yeah.
I do have one more favorite story though of entrepreneurship.
I'm not so sure. I don't know if it's so cut and dry.
Or I just wanted to say too, Nameka Ikiguana, his is a nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
It generates revenue, so it can scale, but it's a nonprofit.
Right.
So a number of our entrepreneurs were nonprofits, but they were sustainable.
Yeah. So I have another one though. I think is just really cool because it's really tangible and kind of hits the problem in multiple ways. I mentioned earlier there's the Pakistani woman from MIT who. So there's the problem of in shanty towns across the world where people, they go and they spend a lot of money on fuel or on firewood or on charcoal, and they heat their homes and they cook in their homes, and it creates a really problematic indoor air pollution. And so most people try and tackle that problem by looking at the fuel source, by saying, well, let's put in solar lamps for their lighting and maybe do a new cook stove. It's more efficient. She looked at it in a different way. She looked at the problem of insulation of the house. So if we want the house to be warmer and burn less fuel, let's insulate the house, but at the same time create a ventilation system. So she created a company around locally sourcing materials to insulate homes with ventilation systems to decrease the cost of fuel consumption and decrease the amount of indoor air pollution while putting up this insulation. And I think her numbers were that it would pay for itself within something like 14 months by the decreased cost of fuel by having this insulation in the home. So that was just probably one of my favorite ideas as well.
And so, what's the product? It's just like insulation as we know it.
It was, it was a combination of I think like mud and straw and all these locally sourced materials. So it wouldn't be like the insulation we have around here.
Right.
Yeah, and it was byproduct from a paper plant, actually. So it was waste products from producing paper. So took a waste, turned it into an incredible asset.
So she takes that waste in and then creates this product and then is selling it. And what area was she in?
In Pakistan.
In Pakistan. Yeah.
But so the interesting problem she ran into was that, it's an easy sell for us to talk about. Yeah, it makes sense, pays for itself in 14 months. But people didn't necessarily want to buy it because of the aesthetics. They have like a lot of pride in the aesthetics of the interior of their homes. And so she has to figure out how to get over that whole problem to get people to actually want to put it in their house. It's like all these different issues that you would never think about unless you're there, like actually interacting with the customer.
And have you begun to vet folks for the next... is it this spring? When's the next one?
Starting next summer. We have to we opened applications a month ago, still have a month left, and we do it so far in advance because of visas.
Okay.
It's hard to get these entrepreneurs over here.
Right.
But no, we haven't started vetting yet. We will once we close applications.
And if people are watching, what if they want to get involved? What do they do? Or maybe they know somebody that they want to put forward.
Yeah, there's probably a couple ways. So, if you're an entrepreneur yourself and you're interested in applying, unreasonableinstitute.org, come please apply. But also, like you said, everyone probably knows an unreasonable entrepreneur or two in their lives, and so to encourage them to check out this opportunity and to apply, I think it's probably the first two ways. There's probably there's other ways as well.
Those are the first initial ones, but also the marketplace that opens up. That'll open January 5th with the finalists, and the world decides who gets into the Institute.
So you get to play in that.
Absolutely. Another thing too, just unreasonable.tv, the videos on there. Trying to make those really interactive, and so check out the series. Every entrepreneur has a 6-minute.
What if I want to be a mentor? Well. How does that work?
So
don't look at me like that.
Yeah. No way.
No one wants.
No way.
No one wants to know about advertising anyway. So.
We're with our mentors. Feel free to reach out to any of us on the website. All of our contact information is on there. Just Unreasonable.
Do you need to grow
Institute.
that? I mean, are you going to need more staff this year? Are you going to need more mentors? You know, what do you see as the challenges kind of right now?
I think just finding the right mentors, the mentors who are going to really add the most value. I mean, we're constantly just trying to up the level of mentorship and find mentors that are extremely excited to be extremely involved. Mm-hmm. Right? A lot of times you say mentorship, people will come in and speak and they'll hang around for a day and then that's the last you ever hear from them. We want mentors who are actively involved, both during the Institute as well as beyond, with the entrepreneurs, and are really honing in on a couple ideas that they want, or entrepreneurs that they want to focus on helping out.
Yeah. At the end of the program, I know that Techstars brings in potential capital, and people get to pitch their ideas. They've honed the idea for however long, and they get to pitch to some people that can actually make it come true. Mm-hmm. Is that the last step in this as well? Do you do that?
Yeah, there are kind of three parts to that. We wanted to get them in front of capital opportunities because that's huge for their visions for scaling. So one thing, we surprised them, got on a bus, did a 3,000-mile road trip out to San Francisco, put them in a room with 100 impact investors, standing room only, like incredible pitch event. Brought them back here. We did the Global Summit, which is really our demo day. Mm-hmm. Smaller audience, about 150. Packed the room, though. Each entrepreneur had 6 minutes to really convince that audience that they warranted the resources they needed to create the impact they're pledging. And then we also did Village Capital, which was this peer-to-peer, a private pitch event where they made 3 investments in each other as well. So certainly focused at the end of the Institute on execution, on exhibition, and on getting the capital to these entrepreneurs.
After you go through all that first of all, hopefully you filmed the bus ride.
Oh yeah!
Like
it's so awesome. I think it's
trip.
episode 8.
Yeah,
it was.
So that's not online yet. The road.
No, it is.
Oh, it all is. Yeah.
Episode 8.
A very odd road bus ride to San
awesome.
Francisco to try to fetch money.
Yeah.
So it sounds like through that, and then eventually investing in each other, there's almost one idea that the group has decided this is the one. Just through that process, was there one that felt like that? That felt like the group had decided, this is the best idea within what we've got going?
Honestly, not really. And one of the reasons was because they were so diverse, right? Like what you were talking about earlier, these entrepreneurs were working on issues that went across the gamut, from poverty to water to shelter.
So what was the biggest failure? We're probably ready for that.
Ooh, I could think of a bunch.
Yeah.
There's a
All right,
multitude.
yeah. What are some of the failures then?
Let's see. A couple lessons that we learned that we could certainly consider failures. One is we learned what stage of venture we work with the best. Initially, we had accepted from idea stage to growth stage. Realized that we ought to work with early stage. So somebody who's interacted with their customers. We had a couple entrepreneurs came to the Institute. Maybe they had a prototype, but they hadn't actually been to their markets, which was huge. Cesar Gonzalez, he's actually staying with us right now. He came to the Institute working on shelter and poverty alleviation in Peru, but he hadn't visited the slums. And so 2 weeks into the Institute, he's like, shit, I gotta go. So he goes back to the market.
So he had designed shelter, or what was his? He was
coming up with a solution. It was kind of creative financing so that people in slums could own their own shelter. And so he realized, I got to go back to the market. Same story with Raphael Smith. He's working on also a shelter project and disaster relief. He hadn't been to an actual disaster zone though, so he's just going out to Haiti now, and that was a detriment. If they had already interacted with their customers, they could fly at the Institute.
Yeah, no, and that's a good question for next time when you've got ideas that are in that realm.
Totally,
right?
Totally. We learned a bunch of other stuff, but you want?
Yeah, I think the other thing is the interaction with the mentor. So we would fly in exceptional mentors from all over the country, as well as bring great people from here in Boulder. And what would happen a lot of times is they would sit down with every single entrepreneur for half an hour, 45 minutes, and then just be exhausted. And so this coming year, we're making sure they hone in on 2 or 3 entrepreneurs and really actually mentor that those 2 or 3 entrepreneurs instead of having little bits and pieces with every single person. Because I just think that mentors' time and the entrepreneurs, the value they gain from the mentor's time could just be much more effective.
Well, if it's ongoing, it's mentoring.
Yep.
If not, it's a TED video.
Exactly.
Right.
And we say we're anti-speaker because I could go to TED and see the best speakers, and we want relationships. I think that actually the biggest criticism we had is an interesting one. The entrepreneurs said that there was too much opportunity. That's not really what they meant. What they're saying though is, we'd have 5 mentors in from head of global branding at Coca-Cola and the founders of Google.org, and Paul Polak, he's brought 24 million people out of poverty, and all 3 of those guys, or 4 or 5 mentors, would be giving workshops throughout the day. And we had told the entrepreneurs, this is your company, prioritize what's most valuable to you.
Right.
But that was an issue when all of these different incredible people were leading workshops. You wanted to go to all of them,
right?
Because it was a once in a kind of a lifetime opportunity. And so they went to all of these workshops, had all of these conversations. Not enough time to work on their companies.
It's interesting because I can personally relate to that idea of just feeling that my mind is being scattered, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay for a period.
Yeah.
So it might be good to open the aperture in the early days,
Exactly.
I guess. But then you need a process, and I think that's true mentoring that brings it in.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So you may do that. So you may maybe you're not anti fracturing of the mindset early on, but you need a process that allows people to say, okay, I've gotten through that, and now I've decided this is what I'm about,
and
now I need help.
Exactly.
Yeah, taking that forward.
Yep. And so slight restructuring where we're more careful with the entrepreneur's time as well as the mentors, and really focusing on these long-term relationships more than just workshops is really where we're moving now.
Yeah, that's almost reasonable.
It's close to it.
In some ways. So it could start unreasonable and then become, it's like Unreasonable Institute is, that's where we start, but then we become reasonable towards the end. Do you want to pull up some questions so we can see, let's see. How do they teach? Did you make this smaller, or am I going blinder? How do they teach their international alums to communicate with their culture? Thank you. From Medical. How do you teach your alums to communicate?
So this is
do you do that?
Well, the beautiful part of the Institute is the entrepreneurs are coming from their markets. Like the Meka is a smallholder rural farmer. Khalida Brohi from Pakistan, she's working on the prevention of honor killing in tribal regions. She is Pakistani coming from those tribal regions. And so teaching them cultural sensitivities is not something we really need to focus on because they're coming from those cultures. Those are their markets. They are their own customers. And that's one of the most
What about the
beautiful
opposite?
things about it.
If they're looking for capital, though, from, globally.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have to teach that? Do you find that you have to teach that?
Absolutely. That is huge. So the culture here, when they come here, how do you interact with investors and the mentors and so on? What we try to break.
We like jargon.
Oh God, it's all
Quotes.
You're going to need more jargon and more
step up your jargon. More quotes.
Yeah,
they make you credible. No, at the end of the day, we have everything that drives the Unreasonable Institute is a belief that business isn't business, business is people.
That was jargon.
That was jargon.
Yeah, it was good. But we actually, I think culturally, we like. I have several friends that only talk in jargon and quotes. And they're spectacular, though, right? I mean, you're just hanging on every word.
Yeah.
They're not their words, but they're really good words,
Good words.
strung together in somewhat appropriate times.
Yeah. Well, the key for the cultural issues for us is our secret sauce is their jargon. There is no secret, though. It's that we put everybody under the same roof. We have them live together. Right? The mentors come and they live. They spend the night. You're brushing your teeth in the morning next to Paul Polak, who's brought 24 million people out of poverty. We walk downstairs at 3 a.m.
Is this a frat house also? Now I'm starting to imagine.
There you go.
So we had over 30 people living in the house together. Yeah, we had a volleyball court out front.
No, you're for real?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This is. I mean, and it's the key because the magic hour is 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. And when we walk downstairs at 3 o'clock and there's 2 mentors and 6 entrepreneurs all from around the world brainstorming around a whiteboard, you come back at 6 a.m., they're still there. I mean, that's the magic, and that's when meaningful relationships, when cultural barriers don't matter at all anymore because at that hour, everybody's a person. That's really what we try to foster.
It's the unreasonable frat house.
Or sorority
We call it the
house.
mansion.
Or sorority.
The unreasonable mansion.
Unreasonable mansion.
Yeah.
That's not bad. You may want to push that forward a little bit. You know,
We're thinking about getting an unreasonable cottage.
Institute. Yeah, there you go.
Hey, this is a good one.
You can't put 30 people in a cottage. That I know.
Challenge?
Yeah.
But I think of Institute, I think of the Aspen Institute, which is amazing.
Yes.
And maybe someday that it's like the Aspen Institute. But the lodging's very separate from the thinking, right?
Yeah,
and it sounds like it's kind of, it's all happening in the same place.
We had the Unreasonable Mansion, and then we had offices and incredible space to work at the Atlas building on campus.
The Atlas.
And in the end of the day, the entrepreneurs just wanted to work at the house nonstop because it was just easier and everybody was there. So our living quarters, our working quarters, it's in the same house.
You should do you own the house or do you?
No.
If you get your own house, you should paint the entire interior with chalkboard paint.
See, we would do something. We're big on marker boards.
Marker, whatever. Just make it so you can write on
the whole
if
house.
You're in the kitchen and you close it and you're like, wait a minute.
That's brilliant.
The whole
in the
house,
bathroom,
right?
absolutely.
That's brilliant.
Be so good. Call it. There was a question that came up about. They said the Nigerian dude. How did the Nigerian dude make his show familiar to everyone? How did he or how does he?
So
either one.
It's kind of a similar answer, but
there's probably not that many things on the dial, though, right? You're in Nigeria. You're searching for a show.
Well, exactly. So his is the only show that's non-governmental. It's the only one that's not pushing out politics or propaganda. But his entire team, the way they reach out to the customers and relate to them is there's 8 people on his team. They are all smallholder rural farmers. And so it's very natural. He also goes into the communities. He meets with the farmers. They have an incredible feedback loop that makes certain the content's relevant.
And how do you guys, are you going to stay connected to the fellows as they move on? And does your business model have that? Or is that just something that you personally feel that you'll be doing? Or is it both?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. First, I mean, the entrepreneurs themselves, I know it's such a cliche to say, but they literally have become a family. Offline, shooting emails back and forth. We have one fellow who's getting married in France this coming year, and there's already at least 4 or 5 people committing to fly to France for his wedding. We have a couple fellows who have the Unreasonable tattoo literally on their body, including Dan.
That's the most.
You have the tattoo?
Of course. Yeah.
Can we see it?
It's on my right ass cheek. If you want to see it.
I think we want to see it. If you're open to showing it, it'd be great.
Sure, I don't mind. Yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud of my ink.
Yeah, the numbers are going.
Okay. Sure about this.
Back away.
All right, Tyler. Hang on just a second.
So this
is awkward.
Doesn't happen all the time.
This isn't national television. There it is.
Can I see it?
There it is.
All right, wait. Are you able to get a shot of that?
That's the right face.
Is that a? You're rocking up with your hand a little.
Oops. There we are.
Is it a flying light bulb?
It's a flying light bulb.
Okay.
Idea taking
flight. So that's interesting. But for us, that's an incredible.
Let's widen back out.
Incredible measure of impact, right? Yeah. We look at amount of capital.
So you've got that, and that kind of makes a little bit of sense for you. But then a couple of the
entrepreneurs,
fellows,
and the reason I have it is because the entrepreneurs were doing it, and this is huge, right? In terms of impact, is they're willing to brand themselves with the logo for the rest of their lives because it meant so much to them. Which is insane.
We haven't told them. We had to change the logo. No, I'm kidding.
That would suck.
Okay.
But yeah, along with Tyler's point.
I mean, there aren't a lot of logos that people put on their bodies. There's Harley Davidson. I've seen some swooshes. There's been some, occasionally some other stuff, but there's not a lot. So that's a big deal.
And for us,
Art's getting the Fearless logo.
Nice art.
For us, this is cheesy, but it's much more of a symbol than a logo, and it represents letting your ideas take flight and having your dreams realized. And I think that's why they're willing to do that. And then none of them have tattoos. This is their first tattoo. It's my first tattoo. I will probably never get another.
Why'd you choose that spot?
Because it matches.
For situations like this.
For situations like this, because it's unreasonable.
It's unreasonable to say, would you like to see this? And I put it in a very special place.
No, actually, my mom, so I was talking to my mom, I was like, Mom, get a tattoo of this, where should I get it? And she was like, well, where do you think? I was like, on my shoulder, maybe my arm, forearm, maybe
your
on
mom's
my
like,
butt
get
cheek.
on your ass.
No. And she was like, look, clearly you want it on your butt cheek. She's like, that's just who you are. Just do it.
Nice. Good advice from
Mom knows best.
Your mom sounds great.
If the board ever fires me, I could be like, are you kidding me? Look how dedicated I am.
So that's your scene from the Facebook movie, right?
Oh, yeah,
from Social Network.
Right?
We'll be like, oh, really?
But so to answer your really important question though, which is what do we do after the Institute? That's the biggest value add that we add is actually a global network of support. So we're still building the platform for our entrepreneurs and our mentors and our capital partners to be able to connect with each other in the long term. But hugely important. And another thing we did do is at the end of the Institute, we told our entrepreneurs, normally 5-10 years from now, you're wildly successful. You'll donate back to a program like this if you think it had impact. Truth is we're not interested at all in that. What we're excited about is if you really believe in this experience.
It's a little bit of an experiment,
and
too.
it's a huge experiment.
Right?
But if you really believed in this, we want to be invested in your success today. So we opened up the ability for them to contribute equity to the Institute, so we're invested in them long term as well. A number of them are doing that too.
Cool.
But just giving them the ability to connect with this network is hands down the most valuable thing we could give them.
And if I'm in Seattle and I actually want to, is there an Unreasonable Institute X? Is there a model to do like what TED has done to allow people to take it and do their own version of it?
We do definitely share freely all of our successes and failures because we're just of the belief that good ideas should be spread everywhere, especially if they're tackling world problems. And so we totally share all of our successes and failures. But this point in time, we're not really expanding out the Institute yet, just because we want to be a little closer to perfection. We learned a lot this first year. We hope to learn a lot this next year as well. So before we really go out and spread the idea and start expanding,
I think that's smart.
Yeah,
it feels like at least another year, probably 2, and then you can kind of take it. But I think there'll be really brilliant people who want to help you.
Oh,
and so capturing that energy in the meantime, and working with folks to get to that space. I don't know exactly how TEDx works, but it seems to. I imagine there's some sort of licensing and agreeing to a set of philosophies and a bar that you will not perform under. And I think the idea feels like you could potentially do that, but you could also just do it yourself. You maybe don't need to open up the aperture to people outside of. I don't know.
I think you mentioned India earlier, and if we're going to go into those markets, I think it needs to be run by someone locally who is a community leader and who can galvanize that support. So our goal and our philosophy is one of copy left. Notoriously we copyright everything. We want to, once we make it work and really apply the lessons we've learned, open up the model to anybody who really wants to adopt it.
So a Creative Commons, where
Absolutely.
there's a scale of how much ownership and how much you put into the commons. Well, we're out of time, believe it or not. It goes pretty fast.
That flies.
It flies, right? And it was amazing having you. And continued success
so
with
much for
this.
having
Thank you so much.
It's
Alex.
really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you.
So we'll see you next time. Cue the music. This is where we cue the music.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to fake.
But then we
it.
pretend, and
We're
then we
supposed to fake
pretend to
talk.
talk.
Yeah. We got it.
No, it's not
music's
working.
coming. The iPad.
not
Can we just
working.
have Dan show his ass again?
Let's end
We're
on that.
not going to close that.
Let's end on that.